Music isn't just about sound, storytelling, or emotions anymore. It has evolved into something more, something that might feel unrecognizable to people like me, people who have been listening to music since childhood. Now, I'm not saying music itself has lost its impact. It's still a huge part of our lives. People all over the world are streaming music on Spotify, YouTube, and other platforms. But here's my argument. Artists who rely solely on their music, without creating engaging content around it, have a much slimmer chance of breaking through. Of course, there are exceptions. Some artists blow up purely off of a single track. Post Malone and Lil Nas X are great examples. When Post Malone dropped White Iverson in 2015, it immediately stood out. The catchy melody and polished mix made it a hit on SoundCloud. And since it was meme-friendly, it spread fast. Social media played a massive role in his rise, but he still had to push his music on platforms available to him at the time. Just a few years later, in 2018, TikTok arrived, and that's exactly how Lil Nas X skyrocketed with Old Town Road. This song was perfect for TikTok's short-form, viral nature, leading to millions of users incorporating it in their videos. The strategy was genius, even if it wasn't intentional. This was just the beginning of social media's dominance in the music industry. Platforms like TikTok have completely changed how we consume media, making it harder to sift through the endless flood of new artists. The oversaturation of music means it's becoming more difficult to differentiate one artist from another. This is especially true in genres like trap, where so many beats follow rigid structures with minimal variation. Don't get me wrong, I love trap music, and I respect artists like Future and Gucci Mane for their originality, but the problem is that their success led to countless copies, making it tough for anyone to stand out. That's why when drill music emerged in the 2010s, it felt like a breath of fresh air. It took trap in a darker, more raw direction, much like how rock music had its own subgenres. With so much music available, listeners often default to old favorites, or whatever song gets pushed in front of them. That's why artists today aren't just selling music, they're selling personality. I love watching interviews. Sometimes I'll randomly come across a video with a compelling title featuring an artist I've never heard of, talking about something I'm interested in. If their take is relatable, or even if it's completely wild, it might intrigue me enough to look them up and check out their music. Platforms like YouTube make this kind of discovery possible, giving artists a chance to showcase who they are beyond the music. Speaking of interviews, I have to give credit to one of the OGs of music journalism, Nardwuar. Watching him as a kid introduced me to so many artists simply to how they reacted to his insane interviews. I love seeing these musicians, some of whom took themselves way too seriously, get completely caught off guard. It humanized them, and honestly, that's a big deal to me. I can't lie, I sometimes lose respect for artists based on how they carry themselves in public, or more specifically, how they behave during interviews. Maybe I'm alone in this, but the personality of an artist matters to me. There are so many musicians out there that if one comes across as insufferable, I'd rather listen to someone else. A perfect example of this is unfortunately Kanye. Now, I have nothing against Kanye as an artist. He's obviously talented, and I would never doubt his impact on the music culture. But growing up, I never actively sought out his music. Recently, a friend encouraged me to check out The College Dropout, a classic album of his. I figured I'd give it a shot, but before listening, I was scrolling on YouTube. I came across a video of an interview with Kanye, so of course, I watched it. Because again, I love artist interviews. I can't help myself. But what I saw wasn't what I expected. His arrogance and entitlement completely threw me off. I thought he'd be more low-key, like Lil Wayne or J. Cole, but instead, it left a bad taste in my mouth. And so, I simply decided that I didn't want to give this person my time, so I skipped the album altogether. Some of you might disagree with that decision, but that's just how I felt at the time. Back in the day, artists could get away with this kind of attitude because we didn't have social media. Fans only interacted with musicians through their music, and maybe, if they were a die-hard fan, a live show. But times have changed. Now, we see their personalities all the time. On YouTube, TikTok and Instagram. And for some artists, that's a massive advantage. But for others, it's not so much. Take someone like Post Malone. He's a chill, down-to-earth guy, and that's clear from the way he interacts with his fans, interviews, and even the paparazzi. The same goes for an artist like Dave Grohl from Foo Fighters, and previously Nirvana, or maybe even Lil Baby, who's prevalent in the hip-hop scene. They all come across as genuinely good people, and that makes me more likely to support their music. I'd rather listen to decent music from someone likable than amazing music from someone I can't stand. Let me know down in the comments if you feel the same way. Now, let's talk about social media's direct impact on music exposure today. I recently came across a TikTok while doom scrolling before bed. The video was of a guy playing harmless pranks on strangers, but the key thing was that his own music was playing in the background. This was a brilliant strategy. The song is Flip Away by Johnny Valentine. Now, before this video, I was unfamiliar with who this person was at all. But the interesting thing is that he knew his song had a certain mood, so he paired it with a scenario that amplified that feeling. I liked the song, so I looked it up. When I realized the guy in the video was also the artist, I immediately saw the genius behind it. Of course, he's not the first to do this. Artists have been finding creative ways to get their music out there for years. But in that moment, it was his song and his video that introduced me to his music. That's the power of content, working with music to share a piece of artwork in an artistic way. It's a beautiful thing. Another example is Olivia Rodrigo with her song Driver's License. Olivia was already signed when that song blew up, but she was nowhere near as popular as she became after TikTok took hold of the song and pushed it out to the masses. PinkPantheress is an even better example of an artist who was carried by TikTok through her song Just For Me. In a much rarer occurrence, a rock artist named Yungblud leveraged TikTok to build a mass following. These are only a few examples. Many others have used their personalities along with social media to grow their music careers as well. I do believe that human connection has completely changed compared to how it used to be only a few decades back. It's become clear over the years that this generation is far more secluded than previous generations. YouTube and other platforms with high viewership are a clear indication of that. People are choosing to live on the internet instead of the real world. Sure, the internet is directly linked to the real world, but it's not the same as a real connection. I think the lockdown only a few years back pushed this mindset to the forefront. In my head, there's a clear before and after to the year 2020. I recently was watching one of my favorite streamers, Queso, who is definitely one of the biggest out there. One of his followers mentioned that they often choose to watch his stream when he is live instead of going out with their friends. I found this endearing, but also terrifying. To me, as someone watching this interaction unfold, it seems like the start of generations choosing to disappear into the internet instead of connecting with actual people in the real world. I hope I don't sound like I'm judging any of these people, because I find myself doing the same thing sometimes. My main point is that we are seeing more of a desire to connect with people that we didn't have before, simply because people naturally connected with each other before the internet. But now, I think we are seeing the results of this unnatural medium. Connection to others has been an incredibly important part of human existence, and our need for connection to our favorite entertainers is a clear callback to our natural behavior. This is apparent in the way many people find and consume new music in our modern times. Music plus personality equals success. Thanks for watching. I hope you subscribe. Share your thoughts down in the comments. Until next time, peace.